The Quinnipiac women's basketball team fell to Siena this past weekend. Do they have a MAC championship roster? Men's ice hockey defeated Long Island University last night. How will they fare in their final ECAC regular season matchups? And which fall or spring team is poised for success? All this and more coming up on Bobcat Breakdown. Welcome to Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Clever Streich, and tonight we have a battle of the basketball beat reporters. Welcome to the desk, Q30 women's basketball beat reporters Kylesia Smith and Eric Kerr.
Well, Clever, I'm excited to be here with Kylesia on the analyst desk with me. Battle of women's basketball beat reporters going against each other, and also it's your first time on air tonight, Kai.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm super excited. I'm ready to get right into these sports. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Let's kick things off this week with women's basketball, who dropped a close matchup to Siena this weekend, 63-60, breaking a 5-game winning streak. Kylesia, what is the ceiling for this Bobcat team in the MAC?
So, honestly, for me, Eric, I think that the basketball team, they have the potential to make it to the championship and win their title again. But the thing is, they have to keep the consistency. They have to keep the consistency in the games. I'm going back to the games with Monmouth and Fairfield. With Monmouth and Fairfield, they were really consistent when it comes to playing from start to finish. And that's really a key thing. They were at the peak of their season. I feel like then, during those series, that's when they were having their 5-game winning streak. Unfortunately, they lost that winning streak from Sunday's game against Siena. But they're really holding teams. That time they were holding teams in single-digit points per quarter. And I feel like all 5 players need to be involved at all times, not just Deweese and Morris. But during those series, that's when Tierra White and Jillian Casey really came alive. That's at that moment of those series against Monmouth and Fairfield. Those are the times that those first years really came alive. So I feel like if they keep that momentum going the way they did in Monmouth and Fairfield, they can really take on the top teams in the MAC championship or in the MAC tournament as a whole, and can really gain that title again.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kai. I think the Fairfield game definitely was a great example of how Quinnipiac can reach their ceiling. They were able to play so well with some strong defense out there. They held the best offensive team in the MAC in Fairfield to just 49.5 points per game. But I think Trish has even mentioned this too. I think the one thing that's taking this team away from the top of the ceiling is their inconsistencies. Every time it seems like they're always starting out slow, and it's been a similar theme. Trish and Mackenzie DeWeese mentioned it in the press conference that this loss to Siena was because they started out the game slow. They were trailing it into the first half in that second game against Siena this past weekend. They were trailing against Siena in that Wednesday game as well. And that's because they're starting out slow. They're shooting just about 46% from the field in the first half in that Siena game, and then the second game just 36% from the field. So they need to just do a better job of being able to knock down their shots in the first quarter and find that offense and get that going. Even against Fairfield as well, they just shot just 23% from the field in the first quarter and 35% in that second quarter in the first game they played against them in that weekend series. So Kai, they need to find a way to just be able to come out on all cylinders and be able to find a way to get better starts in these games for sure. So that's what I think with this team, right?
I definitely agree, Eric. You hit all the right points. If we can get some more 3-pointers after 3-pointers from Rose Cavalli, that would be great as well.
Yeah, definitely to get everyone involved too, not just Rose, but maybe some Amani Free as well for sure.
Amani Free and Sajana Bonner.
While the Bobcats certainly have set their sights on another MAC championship, one of the Bobcats is fighting a much different battle. Q30's own Jack Main has more on the story.
Tall, athletic, and lighthearted. Those are words that you can use to describe any basketball player at Quinnipiac University. But to describe sophomore forward Kat Almeida, you're going to have to add strong, funny, and survivor to that list.
And your Quinnipiac University Bobcats.
After appearing in 15 games her freshman year, Kat was looking forward to a more expanded role in the 2020-2021 season. Being the tallest player on the roster, Kat would create quite the dynamic duo with fellow sophomore forward and All-MAC rookie Michaela Morris. But those plans and her school year would take a backseat when Kat learned she was diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
I was at dinner this summer and I just randomly felt my throat and there was a lump there. And so then that night I told my mom and we scheduled an appointment just to check on it, but I had no worries about it. And then in October, my mom called me and said that it was abnormal, which was a shocker.
What do you need from us? How can we best support it? And what was going to be in your best interest? Because we've all, whatever you need from us and whatever is in your best interest and really what you and your family think is we've got your back.
Now, when I spoke to head coach Trisha Fabry before the Fairfield series, she wasn't ruling out a return for Kat at some point this season. What we didn't know is how soon that return was going to be. Kat dressed for Game 1 of the series on Friday, but didn't see any action. However, less than 24 hours later, she saw her first minutes of the season. With this team, she's going to get a block down low. Kat Almeida with a block in her return. Oh, you said you weren't ruling out the return for her this season. Did you think it was going to be this soon?
I did. I think during halftime I'm a little nervous when Brian called me over and was asking me if I know the plays. And I was like, oh, I think this means I'm going in. But yeah, it was definitely a combination. Of course, a little bit of nerves, but mostly just excited to see if I could produce anything out there. And when I did, I was happy with that. I was fine with when I got pulled right after because it left me on a high.
Now that Kat has made her return to the court, she focuses from the fight against cancer to the fight for a MAC championship, where the Quinnipiac women's basketball team currently sits in second place. Reporting from the People's United Center on the York Hill campus, I'm Jack Main, Q30 Sports.
After her battle with thyroid cancer, sophomore center Kat Almeida has returned to the Bobcats lineup. Eric, with Almeida back on the court, what kind of impact will she make for the rest of the season?
Well, I mean, since that, first off, commends to Kat Almeida for making that huge rejection. Also, more importantly, returning back to the court from thyroid cancer. That is a huge deal.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Clever, I think she's going to, come in when the team needs her. I think she's more of a role player on this team this year. Ever since that Fairfield game, she hasn't stepped onto the court, but I think the way that they'll use her, Kai, is to kind of, just come in and offer a big presence for this team, down low, maybe to get some more blocks like we saw in that Fairfield game on Rachel Hakes. She stands as the tallest player on the women's basketball side at 6'5". So there's really no reason why you can't just have her out there to, grab a couple rebounds, get some block shots for your team, maybe even get a couple buckets down low. She also can extend it from the perimeter as well. Hit that three ball once in a while, believe it or not, but she has that type of range. So I definitely look to see that going for Kat going forward. But what do you think about Kat, Kai?
I definitely agree. That block from Kat was beautiful. Came at the right time.
Oh, yeah.
But like you said, we still have this weekend against Niagara. You never know when she's going to make another appearance. You still have the MAC tournament as well, and also hopefully in the MAC championship. So we still have have time to see what impact she really is going to make on the team. But I feel like Coach Fabry is really trying to take it a little easy since she is just now coming back. Like she had thyroid cancer, still still trying to deal with that, and I'm pretty sure she's taking it easy. But I feel like she's not really necessarily making an impact right now on the court, but I feel like she's making an impact outside the lines, showcasing to her teammates and her team as a whole that anything is really possible.
Yeah, definitely is a great locker room presence for them, and there's no doubt that she'll change that course.
Absolutely.
Men's basketball took 2 victories over Rider this weekend to improve their record to 6-7 in conference. With their next game looming against St. Peter's on Wednesday, has this team proved that they can still compete in the MAC?
Kai, you want to start off with this one?
Yeah, I got it. So honestly, I feel like it's kind of hard to say if they've proven themselves, to continue in the MAC. The main teams that they've swept against are in the bottom of the standings. So you have, Iona, Rider, which are 9th and 11th in the MAC right now. So with that, they still have top competitors that they have to match up against. Marist, St. Peter's, they're 3rd and 4th in the MAC right now. And you also have to take a look back at early in the season. Both games against against the first place Monmouth. They lost both of those games, and they also had a split victory with Manhattan and Niagara, who have places in the top standings as well. So I'm not sure if they, I don't know. They're showcasing they don't have potential to be playing in the MAC conference, honestly, to me.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I like how you touched upon the beginning of the schedule, but I'll focus more on the end of the schedule here with Iona. Their 3-game streak as of late. Against Iona, that was a pretty quality win in overtime, but I think that came against an Iona team that was still a little bit rusty. They just came off of a almost 2-month pause from playing basketball because of COVID. So I think they were a little bit rusty going into that game for sure. And moving into the Rider game, Rider is bottom in the MAC, last in the standings, and they are also the worst when it comes to defense. They allow the most points per game, field goal percentage, and 3-point percentage in the MAC, highest in every category. So that makes them the worst defensive team, which is why Quinnipiac was able to drop 93 and 80 points against them respectively
Correct.
in that weekend. So because of weak defense leads to easier offense. So that is why we shouldn't look at these last couple games as it's spark for the men's basketball team coming back.
Right.
They're going to have to prove themselves in the upcoming games against Marist and St. Peter's this weekend.
You're right. Like Canisius, for example.
Yep.
They were out for so long, and now they're above Quinnipiac right
Exactly.
now. So it's
Time
really
to see how it
crazy.
goes down, right?
Yep, gotta see.
Head coach Baker Dunleavy continues to look for new offensive contributors on his young team. Kalicia, who should be the #1 option for the Bobcats moving forward?
So, for me, I chose Jacob Rigoni. Yes, he is who we expect to choose. Honestly, he is a big man of the team as a senior. It's his senior year, actually. He comes through in all aspects of the court, whether it's on offense and defense as well. He's been the top rebounder for the past few games, averaging 11 rebounds through the past three games. And he's basically just out-rebounding other opponents. But he's also what we call him, aka the three-point king. So you can't knock him on the offense. The big man, he loves the three-point line, and three-point line loves him. So I feel like he is going to be the main point for moving forward in the MAC. And honestly, I honestly, for the future, I think Courtwright as well is going to be a prominent player.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Kai. Jacob Rigoni is the marksman from downtown, great sharpshooter. But I'm actually going to go a little bit different direction with my pick. I'm going to go with Luis Courtwright, as you kind of briefly mentioned in towards the end of your claim there. So obviously, Luis is not the highest in terms of scoring the team. That's Rigoni. He owns that. But he's still third, 9.5 points per game, so not bad there. He also has 3.1 assists per game, which is second in the team in assists. He had a huge weekend this past weekend against Rider with 25 points and 18 points respectively in Games 2 and Games 1. But outside the numbers, when it comes to creating yourself and creating your open shot, I think Luis is a little more crafty than Jacob Rigoni is. He's able to, really to get by his defender off the dribble. He's a strong slasher, as you guys can see on your screen. That smooth take to the rim with a nice little reverse right hand on the opposite side of the hoop. But he's also a really good sharpshooter from distance as well, really improved that shot. Shot 5 for 6 in that game that he had 25 points this past weekend. So with that being the case, you definitely have to consider him as being kind of a more creative scorer. Rigoni is a great knockdown shooter. I'm not taking anything away from that for him, but in terms of his height being 6'6", kind of at that low post spot, I don't see him as kind of a great low post scorer down there. I think Corey is more of a crafty scorer and player. So for that reason, I have to put Corey ahead of Rigoni there.
I can't be mad at you right there, Eric. He was Rookie of the Week, I think 2 weeks back to back for the MAC. So I can't really say anything.
Yeah, definitely great picks between both Rigoni and Courtwright, but good takes on both of us for sure.
Coming up after the break, we'll debate men's and women's ice hockey as the ECAC postseason continues to draw near. We'll be right back.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfies, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here.
Wait.
What?
I can't drive.
Why? My. Oh.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. Men's ice hockey has been rolling as of late by picking up 2 straight wins while outscoring their opponents 16-1. Eric, who will be the key player in Quinnipiac's upcoming series with St. Lawrence?
I think this is sort of an obvious answer, but I'm going to go with the sharpshooting goal scorer himself, Ty Smolanic. Team leading scorer, as I mentioned, in 13 goals. 5 of those goals have been on the power play. He also is contributing well on the assist end with 6 assists, 19 total points. That's good for 4th on the team. He just has great speed and versatility, able to do so much with the skill set out there in the game. What I really want to see, though, in this upcoming match is if he can contribute again to the scoring and assisting category. In the first series they played against St. Lawrence, he had that critical game-tying goal in the 3rd period to send that game into a shootout. However, not the case in the 2nd series, so I'm interested to see if Ty Smolanic can offer that same thing going forward coming up.
So for me, Eric, when I think of a key player, I think of 3 different things. I think of, offense, the defense, as well as assists or playmaking. So this is why I chose, I'm right there with you, Ty Smolanic.
Nice, good choice.
Great minds think alike. You have to include, like I said, the different facets, offense, defense, and playmaking. On LIU's game, though he had 1 goal, which he really utilized the power play and taking advantage of that. He really opened up the opportunity for his teammates. As for LIU, he had 3 assists on the Deliberator shot and both the Filion shots. And he also had 1 block as well. So that's why I chose Ty Smolanic as well. He is a great option, and I think it was a great choice.
Women's ice hockey currently sits at 3rd place in the ECAC hockey standings as they trail behind Colgate and Clarkson. Calicia, is this team beating themselves, or are they simply stuck in the middle of a strong conference?
I think they are stuck in the middle of a strong conference. I look back, and for Clarkson, the last 2 games they did, they were close. They had they both had one had to go into overtime. For Colgate, for Colgate, the last game they won against them was in the 2019 season, and they have some top players for the ECAC for Colgate and Clarkson. The number 1 ECAC goalie is from Clarkson, and the number 1 ECAC defenseman and forward are both from Colgate. So I really think it's a really big struggle for Quinnipiac to overcome Colgate and Clarkson, and I think they're just stuck in a strong conference.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I also agree with you. I think it's just a strong conference in general. 2 of those opponents that Quinnipiac has lost to in the ECAC have been top 10 in the UCHO poll. You mentioned Colgate, they're number 5, and Clarkson at number 9. So you can't take this too much into consideration. I think overall it's just a strong conference. Some very, very tough teams to deal with here. And, at the end of the day, just got to keep trying to play and find a way to win against these teams going forward.
Absolutely. They're going against Colgate this weekend, so I hope they do some form of studying up so they can hopefully or try to, come out on top this weekend.
Let's see what happens.
Spring is just around the corner, which means that it's time for MAC and Big East fall and spring sports to get underway. Eric, who do you think will be the team to watch for this season?
Well, this answer is going to be a little bit biased, but as the volleyball beat reporter last year for Q30 Sports, I'm going to have to go with volleyball for my favorite fall or spring team to watch. They just have a lot of great storylines to talk about. The first one, obviously the top of the list, is that this team was so close to winning the finals last year. They were the number 6 seed and made a Cinderella run to make it all the way there, but just lost to Fairfield last night. So you know they're going to have a chip on their shoulder to come back and win it this year. They also were ranked to be number 2 in the MAC preseason poll, so they're already getting recognition, and as they should. They got a lot of key players coming back. Ariana Diaz, I'm excited to see what she could bring in her next season. Gabby Horman as well, Morgan Sherwin, Maggie Baker, Georgia Salepi, and Olga Zapati all bring solid hitting to this Quinnipiac team. And you also got to throw in Daniela Balsano, who was recently named on Quinnipiac Athletics as the libero of the team. So it's interesting to see, how all these players will step up with all these different storylines for this team. I'm very excited for volleyball.
Well, I'm excited for volleyball too, but for my choice, I chose baseball. It's been almost a year since their last game. That last game that was played. Unfortunately, their season was interrupted by the pandemic. But before the pandemic, they were on top of their game. They have obtained their first NCAA tournament win in 2019 against ECU, and they still have a lot of those key players that played in that tournament. You have Andre Marrero, you have Ian Osbert, and Dylan Lutz, and those, like I said, those players are still here, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be an integral part of the team. And they also have a handful of first years that I'm pretty sure are going to be a great asset, and I see them as potentially having a really good season.
Spring is a time of renewal and change for Quinnipiac teams, as some familiar faces are no longer Bobcats. So guys, which spring or fall team will miss their star player the most? Felicia, let's start with you.
So volleyball. We're going to go back to volleyball. So the person I chose is Alejandra Rodriguez.
Ooh, great choice.
She was the libero for the volleyball team. The last full season they were able to have. She is also a very integral part of the volleyball team. She was MAC All-Second Team and chosen as the MAC Libero of the year that season. She's recorded 117 assists, the 4th most of the team, and had 13 aces, which was the fifth most of that team, and also recorded 539 digs, averaging almost 5 digs per set, which was the most on that team at the time. So that's the person I chose. I feel like Alejandra is a great choice, and she would definitely be missed this season.
Yeah, great choice from Alejandra Rodriguez. I'm actually going to switch it up and not go with volleyball. I'm going to go with men's soccer here. Eamon Whalen is my guy. Simply, he's just a great goal scorer for this team. 2-time MAC Player of the Year in 2018, 2019, a unanimous MAC Offensive Player of the Year award in 2018. So to replace that goal scoring is going to be very, very tough for Quinnipiac to replace, and we'll see how it goes, as even though they were ranked number 2 in the MAC preseason poll, it'll be interesting to see how it goes without Wayne Whalen on the roster this time.
After the break, we'll present QBSN's Game of the Week and our final roar. Stick with us on Bobcat Breakdown.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Drew, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced House Hunter. Now get the tips you need to get on track and ace your retirement.
Thanks for sticking with us on Bobcat Breakdown. We'll get to our final rules in a minute, but first it's time for QBSN's Game of the Week. For this week's Game of the Week, we take you back to Sunday afternoon as the Quinnipiac men's basketball team completed the weekend sweep of the Rider Broncs, winning 93-68, setting a season high in points per game. They set a season record for threes, made going 14 for 34 behind the arc, while shooting 50% from the field. Lewis Courtwright led the way with a game-high 25 points, followed by teammates Brendan McGuire and Jacob Rigoni, who had 17 and 16 points respectively. The win extended the Bobcats' winning streak to 3 games, the longest winning streak since this time last year. The Bobcats are currently on pause after some positive COVID tests for MAC opponents, but hope to be back in action this weekend when they take on Marist. It's that time of night. Let's do our final roars. Kalicia, let's start with you.
The men's basketball team was scheduled to have senior day this Wednesday during their home matchup against Siena. Unfortunately, that game was canceled due to precautions taken after a positive COVID-19 test from a previous MAC opponent. So I'm going to take it upon myself to give a special shout out to the senior on the team. Let's take a look back on the season and seasons prior and how this special senior has made a contribution to the team. The three-point king, Jacob Rigoni, Australian native Jacob Rigoni, came to Quinnipiac as a first year in 2017. Since then, he has played in 111 games, starting in 92 out of those 111 games, and has accumulated over 1,100 points and averaged a total of 10 points so far throughout these 4 years. And to talk about defense, how about 450 rebounds, including offense and defensive rebounds? Rigoni has been a key part of the Bobcats throughout his time here, and I know that he is going to be definitely missed. Jacob Rigoni, it's been a job well done.
Across all our student media organizations here at Quinnipiac, each one has put a great amount of time to writing articles, producing highlights, and broadcasting the games of all winter sports teams. Now, this isn't new, but what is new is that reporters can't be inside the Leonard Court or the Frank Perotti Jr. Arena. Access to ESPN Plus has allowed broadcasters and reporters to watch the games to put together what they need to succeed. However, this won't last for long. Most spring and fall sports at Quinnipiac won't receive any ESPN coverage until they are competing in the playoffs. So without being able to watch regular season games, how will student media be able to create content and share to the public all things Quinnipiac athletics? Other MAC schools like Rider and Canisius have protocols which allow journalists into their facilities, but the same can't be said for here. All it would take is for student journalists to check their symptoms, check their temperatures, wear masks, and social distance across the field or court. This is something that all student journalists would be more than willing to do and to follow if it meant to just be back in person again. It is important for the educational objectives of everyone in student media to gain the experience of covering a sports game in person, and the upcoming spring sports season presents a perfect opportunity to do so.
Quinnipiac women's ice hockey has had a season of ups and downs. It's been hard for the Bobcats to maintain consistency in their limited ECAC play. They currently sit at 3rd place in a 4-team conference. Up next is their final 2 regular season games against 5th nationally ranked Colgate Raiders, who have defeated the Quinnipiac Bobcats twice this year. However, when looking back at the season, we can see the major step forward taken by the team's underclassmen players and young defensive core. Defensemen such as Kendall Cooper, Maddie Samaskevich, and Alexa Hoskin have been standouts on the Bobcat blue line, playing key roles in Quinnipiac's recent 1-0 victory over St. Lawrence. Redshirt sophomore goalie Logan Andrews is starting to grow into the shoes that Abby Ives left for her to fill, as she has posted 2 shutouts this season and has been named to the Women's Hockey Goalie of the Year award watch list. While this may not be the year for a deep ECAC championship run, we've seen signs of development, experience, and improvement among many on this team, showing the bright future that's ahead for the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team. And that's all that we have for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out our websites at q30tv.com and qbsn.com. You can find us on social media at Q30TV and at QBSN. And check out the new Q30 TV app now available for download. For Kalicia, Eric, and everyone behind the scenes, my name is Clever Streich. Good night from Hamden.